Hi, everyone. Good morning. It is Wednesday morning mat class, and we're going to start with the usual kit. So you'll want a ball or a block for inner thighs. Rolled up towel works. Maybe little dumbbells for your hands if you like some additional work with shoulders and arms as we do the movements there. And we're going to start sitting today. So, oh, I didn't catch all of you. I apologize. We're going to start sitting. So we have the spine in an upright position, and we can feel a little bit better the effect of gravity on the breath as well as on the physical structure. So you sit on whatever you need to sit on. I've got a little bit of a blanket or pillow underneath my seat so that it sort of sidesteps any issues of hip tightness. You want to be able to be upright without a lot of struggle. Right. Feel the sitting bones clearly underneath you. And do a little roll of the pelvis forward and back. And I always reference the top of the pelvis. You can bring the hip points a little closer to the front, a little closer to the back, and you feel the contours of the sitting bones. Find the center points of those sitting bones. And allow length down the front of the pelvis as well as across the lower back. Arrange your ribs so that they're stacked comfortably over top, the same with the chest and the shoulders. And ideally, we're vertical, so there are no forces on the spine dragging us forward or back. Eyes open or closed, really, whatever allows you to focus best. And we'll inhale through the nose. When the lungs are full, gently round the lips and exhale. Inhale when it's time, again through the nose. Gently rounded lips, and I do want to stress that don't have a lot of tension there. And a stream of exhale that's just like you're flickering a candle flame, not spattering wax on the wall. Breathe in, and especially in the upright position, feel the weight of breath dropping toward the base of the pelvis. With a light Kegel to support the muscles at the bottom of the pelvis, you exhale upward. Feel that sequential connection upward into the bottom of the ribs. Inhales moving down and exhales moving up. You take your time with the breath and move at your own pace. And one of the other reasons I wanted you to start seated today is so that you didn't feel closed off in the back of the ribs, right? When you inhale, allow the bottom of the back ribs to open. Don't keep them gripped or overly still. Feel the sides of the ribs flaring outward at the base. And when you exhale, try not to close or grip the back of the ribs below the shoulder blades or at the base of the neck, anywhere. Have 3 more rounds of breath, feeling three-dimensional sort of opening and closing with the inhale and exhale. Feel the dynamic quality of breath movement and of the muscles that support the movement. And after you've completed your last breath in and out with that single focus, lift your gaze to the horizon, center your pupils in your eyes, and just scan across the room, one side and then the other. We're going in both directions, so it doesn't matter really which direction you start with, so long as you do them both. When you've done that little scan across the room, keep the pupils centered in the eyes, and without straining or creasing the neck, look up and down. When you've done all of that, place your hands on your knees and we'll round the spine like a cat in a seated position, hollowing the front of the belly and stretching the outer surface of the spine over the curve. On the inhale, go the other way, and you'll feel a gentle rolling of the pelvis through the hips, the shoulders against the ribs. And do that a couple more times. And you can make this as small or as large as you like. It's morning, so I suggest, just kind of working into it slowly. One more of these, please. And then release to that seated posture, breath in, breath out. Lie down onto the mat. Put the ball between your knees or whatever you're using as a prop for inner thighs. And as you lie down, you want to sort of check in with the head position, ascertain whether you need a little bit of height or support under the back of your head, or um, if you feel like your feet are too close or too far. So, really just run through your little checklist physically. And then breathe in and out with the same sort of mindfulness as we had in seating as you kind of assess the whole picture here. We'll add a little something now since we've got that prop between the inner thighs. Inhale, feel the breath moving downward toward the base of the pelvis. And then just before starting your exhale, lightly squeeze inner thighs. Continue to hold that tone in the inner thigh muscles as you exhale fully, feeling the connection rising from bottom to top or the support rising. Soften the inner thigh squeeze just a little bit and keep your kegel as you inhale downward. Leading the exhale with that inner thigh tone. Exhale through the crown. And keep that going. Just 3 more rounds. Feel the completion of each phase of the breath, the three-dimensional quality of it, even though we're lying on our backs now. We begin our imprint and release sequence, preparing with your inhale, holding tone in pelvic floor, and then squeezing the ball, exhale, and make your imprint, contracting now through the surface of the abdominal wall. Allow that contraction to subside as you inhale and return to neutral. Repeating imprint on your exhale and releasing it with every inhale. Let's do a total of 5. Each repetition allows a little bit more stretch or opening in the lower spine, a little bit more reach through the tail, and a little bit deeper contraction in the lower abs, still retaining core in the deepest layers. When you've completed that last imprint and then return to neutral, good. Put the ball or block off to the side, whatever you're using, and stretch one leg down the mat. Feel a balance in the position of the pelvis and the shoulders. And on your inhale, we're going to start in the outward direction today. Let the knee drop away from the other leg. Slide that knee down, straightening it. Exhale, roll inward and drag the heel up. Inhale, leg opens outward and stretches downward. And exhale, thigh rolls inward medially before the knee bends, dragging the heel up. 2 more, please, in this direction. When you've completed 4 repetitions of this circling action in the hip, just reverse the initiation of the circle. We'll inhale, drop the knee across before sliding down. Then exhale, roll outward through the thigh before bending the knee and drawing the heel up. 4 total. And when you've done your last one, you'll pause in place and bend the bottom leg as well so that both legs match. Have an inhale and an exhale in that balanced position through the feet and the legs, and then slide the other leg long. We start in the outward direction here, inhaling, dropping the bent knee away before sliding it down. Exhale, rolling inward before bending again to bring the heel up. Feel a rhythmic quality not only to the breath, but to the circularity in the hip movement and the muscles that control it. After your fourth one, reverse that direction of initiation, dropping inward with the inhale and then sliding downward. Mhm. All right. Make sure that the jaws and the back of the neck are soft. You're not pulling in any way with the upper body to control or initiate the movement of the leg. And when you've done your last one, you'll again bend both knees and return to your neutral position, maybe with a ball between the knees, if that's helpful. Grab your weights if you like for arm work, and with feet on the ground in a neutral posture, we'll do some reaching back and forth, and then opening to the side and closing. Yeah. We'll extend the arms forward and have a breath there. Notice where your weight is resting in your spine. You don't necessarily have to press or even want to press the bottom of the ribs down, but you need to feel that the bottom of the ribs have a direct relationship to the line of the pelvis, a direct connection to your core. Inhale here and open across the top of the ribs and chest. And then as you exhale, reach the arms slowly back besides the ears or in that direction. Hold the reach and inhale, maintaining your Kegel. Squeeze the ball lightly and exhale, return steady through the position of your spine and smooth through the movement of your arms. On the next exhale, you reach back again, returning on exhale as well. We'll do 4 of these. And find not only stretch and a little bit of strengthening and toning for the arms, but continuing that deep breath connection to core. When you've returned from your last one, just pause there for a moment and you can make any little movements or shifting in the shoulders or head that you need to make to sort of finesse that neutral posture. We exhale here in preparation, then keeping your Kegel as you inhale, open your arms wide to the side, spreading across the center of the chest into the length of both arms. Exhale, close or return. For these guys, feel the arms opening away from the midline as you maintain continuity through the bottom of the ribs, maintaining also connection through the breath and stability in your posture. The last time you open the arms, hold them there if you can, and just very gently rock the head no, side to side. Make sure that you can turn the head on the neck. You're not holding the arms with those muscles, rather they're connected to your core. Center your head and exhale, return the arms forward. Bring the arms down by your sides and roll over onto your side for spinal rotation. Knees are bent and stacked one on the other, same with the hips and the shoulders. Arms are extended forward. Ball between the knees is fine. Weight in the hand or hands is fine. Prepare here by exhaling and lightly squeezing the ball or the knees. And then on your inhale, begin to turn the head upward. Chase that action of the head with the lift of the arm and continue both of those things as you exhale and spiral open. So this also is a very dynamic movement. We do pause to inhale here and then exhale, returning from bottom to top, each vertebral joint coming out of rotation. 4 from this first side. Now, of course, you go at the pace that you choose, but don't neglect the details of this movement. It's easy to bypass and skip interesting points. Feel core connection supporting the sequential nature of this twist. Maintain the alignment of the ribs and initiate your return with your belly muscles, your oblique muscles, rather than your back or your shoulder. Maintaining pelvic floor tone on inhale. And when you've returned from your last one, roll to the other side. Once you're arranged, have an exhale where you lightly engage inner thighs. Open the chest, and then inhale, turn the head upward, following with the motion of the arm and the shoulder, and exhaling open into twist. Breath out, return. Continuing through 4 repetitions. Feel the relationship between your rib cage and the shoulder blade, especially as you open the arm into twist. Feel the top side of the ribs falling back into the cup of the inner surface of the shoulder blade. Yeah, feel the shoulder blade comfortably resting against the surface of the ribs as you return, rather than becoming destabilized on the back. Now, when you've completed your 4th one, I'd like you to come to hands and knees. We'll continue to explore that relationship between the shoulder blades and the rib cage on hands and knees as a preface to cat and cow. And I'll go ahead and come to hands and knees so you have some idea what I'm talking about. Right. So in your neutral, and you can shift a little forward and back to find a centering of the weight. You should be able to feel also that association of the rib halves in back of you with the inner surface of the shoulder blades. We're going to deliberately let the ribs sort of fall forward on the inhale. So the shoulder blades remain where they were, and the spine and ribs fall a little forward through them, creating a valley between. Now, on the exhale, go the other way. As you push a little through your hands and your knees, lift your rib cage into and then finally through the shoulder blades, creating a little hill between them. Inhale, let the chest, ribs, and spine drop through. And exhale, let the spine, chest, and ribs rise in the other direction. And of course, we want to find that sweet spot in between, but that little bit of movement should have created some slack in the muscles that connect the shoulder blades to the ribs. From your neutral, we'll prepare with an inhale, holding tone in pelvic floor. And on the exhale, begin to round the spine, starting at the bottom vertebra and moving sequentially toward the top. You'll feel a change in the shape of the shoulders with the change in the shape of the ribs and the spine. Don't fight that. Top of the head hangs down. Inhale here, starting again at the base of your spine. Exhale, return to a neutral line. And again, as the posture changes, you don't fight it with the shoulders of the neck. You just find stability in movement. Inhaling, taking that into extension. Release. And do 2 more repetitions of the entire exercise sequence. Nice, you guys. One more. Good. When you finished your last one, lie on your back and we will go directly into hip rolls. So minimal or no head mat at all. We don't want a lot of forward pressure against the back of the head or the neck specifically. Ball or block between feet or knees. Feet in that magic spot where they're not too far away, not too close. You can still have neutral posture and also feel a vertical drop of the lower legs through the arches, through the soles of the feet. Inhale here, keeping pelvic floor tone. Squeeze the ball lightly, exhale, and begin at the base of your spine, the lowest vertebra, to flex forward. In this case, it will lift you from the mat a vertebra at a time. Press down through the bottom of your feet and apply the glutes to lift the back of the pelvis. Feel the changing relationship of the arms to the position of the ribs at the top. Don't fight that. Inhale here. As you exhale and roll down, you should be able to feel the ribs and the shoulder blades sliding back into the plane of the arms. Transitioning from imprint into neutral, settle into the floor briefly, inhale there, and then exhale, begin again. As you approach the top, the ribs lifting through the arms, you might feel a stretch at the front of the shoulders. Release the outer edges of the collarbones. Allow the stretch. Inhale, and then exhale, roll back down. We'll do just one more hip roll. Begin when you're ready. At the top, pause for a moment and make sure that you're not pushing the ground away with your feet, but rather down with your feet. There is a subtle but important difference there. Yeah, there we go. And then exhale, roll back down. Allowing a nice settling of the pelvis into neutral. Bring the arms down along your sides. If they're out a little bit, we'll just bring them in. And we'll nod the head a couple of times in preparation for some upper body flexion. With the weight of the head resting in the mat, inhale, nod the chin downward. Do not use the back of your neck to stretch the back of your neck. And then exhale, release. Right, that seems like a real sort of duh statement, but check it out. Inhale, nod your chin downward. Relax the back of your neck. Don't push the back of your neck. And then release. One more nod and one more only. Inhale, nod. Feel a connection in the muscles in your throat, toning the underside of the neck and chin. Yeah. And then release that. We'll slide the shoulder blades up and down. You can lift your hands from the mat a little bit or just let them glide along the floor. Inhaling to lift the shoulders toward the sides of the neck and ears. And exhaling to allow them to drop down and settle onto the rib cage. Do that 3 more times, so an extra repetition here. And you might notice as the shoulders, shoulder blades and collarbones settle onto the rib cage that you feel a better sense of continuity with your core, with your pelvis, with the muscles within. When you've done your last repetition, you can decide to keep the arms long by your sides as we bend forward from the mat, or to support your head in your hands. So do the thing that makes sense for you. You can always change it up halfway through the set, right? The feet are grounded, the spine is neutral. Inhale and nod the chin downward using the throat muscles. Exhale, begin to bend forward, continuing the curve in the neck in the upper ribs and back as you slide the shoulder blades down towards your center. Hold here and have an honest breath in, keeping your kegel. And then lightly squeezing the ball, exhale, lower down. Feel that changing position of the spine and ribs affecting the shoulders positively. Nod the chin to the chest and exhale, bend forward. Dynamic stability through the shoulders as the spinal shape changes. And exhale to lower. I'd like you to do 4 more, or a total of 6. Enough repetitions that you can kind of check in with all those touch points that are important in this exercise, not just the shoulders and the head, but the connection into your core, into your inner thighs, and really into ground through your feet. Feel the ability to know where you are in space, right? So feel when you're in neutral. Sense the quality that you bend with, the shape of your spine. And I'll know you're finished with your last one because you'll just slide your legs long. Nice work, you guys. With your legs long, you can do any motion that feels nice with your feet. You can pull the toes up and point them away, rock side to side, make little circles with your ankles, right? Any of those things, you mix it up however you like. And we were talking about the continuity of the neck with the upper spine in flexion. I'd like you to find that same continuity as we prepare or move into extension from prone. So when you're ready, roll over onto your belly and have breaststroke prep number 1 arms. So the elbows are bent, the forearms are more or less parallel to each other, and the hands are high enough and wide enough that there's no artificial pushing of the shoulders. Lower body is as it always is. We're using the low abs to gently ground the bottom of the pelvis, right? The legs are stretching below. We've got good tone in the inner thighs and in the feet. So I'm going to have you practice the analogous motion to head nods, right? With your nose more or less on the mat. I want you to imagine there's a marble in front of it. And I want you just to push that marble away a half an inch as you inhale. Let that go. So not enough that you begin to cramp or become uncomfortable in the back of the neck, but just feel that you can push that marble away with the tip of your nose. And then feel that as the initiation for the larger extension into the upper back as we begin to target the middle back muscles. In an entirely neutral position, exhale here, preparing for extension. Inhale, begin to open the chest, feel the neck lengthening, maybe starting to push that marble away. And then exhale, using middle back muscles, extend the top of the chest forward and upward, spreading the collarbones as you do a backward bend. Hold, inhale, feel continuity through the entire upper spine, between the ears into the crown, and then exhale, lower down. 2 more times with the same exercise. Preparing, not rushing, exhaling, extending without any break at the base of the skull, at the neck, any loss of support for the upper body. Beautiful, guys. A third and final repetition of this version. Feet stay on the ground. Bring your arms down by your sides. Now, just reaching into our hover, you might not feel the need to roll that imaginary marble with your nose, but do be aware of how the head position is relating to your shoulders and how the spine connects through both of those areas. We'll inhale and lift the arms along the sides. And as you adjust the shoulders, you might feel that subtle lengthening through the neck, the roof of the mouth sliding back and up. And then exhale, reach the top of the chest long, bringing your upper body into a float or hover above the ground. Firm the triceps, stretch your elbows and wrists, open the chest, and then exhale, lower, allowing the position of the shoulders to adapt to the position of ribs and spine. Inhale, adjust shoulders, make the neck comfortable. Exhale, target middle back muscles to lift the weight of the upper body. Long and neutral through the back of the neck. Exhale, lower down. Please do one more repetition, placing the shoulders and the head. And as you exhale and rise up, don't allow the top of the shoulder blades to press against the back of the neck. Instead, open the chest and find release into your length before lowering down. And once you're down, sit back into shell stretch, please. And of course, because we've been using our middle back muscles for extension, we want to really perhaps target the deepest part of our stretch in that area of the spine. So the area just between and below the shoulder blades. And in fact, we're going to take a little walk side to side here to augment that stretch. Begin by walking your hands to the right. And you should feel that under the left side of the ribs and the shoulder blades, you got a little additional opening here. Breathe into that. And then as you release, exhale, move your hands back through center and slowly walk the hands to the left side. Of course, doing the same favor for the other side of your rib cage and shoulder blade. Breathe into it. Exhale, return through center. In center. Inhale, let the weight of your hips settle towards your heels, and exhale, walk yourself up. We'll lie down onto our backs and we'll do a little bit of tabletop work here, getting ready for the 100. If you know that you prefer to use a flex band for activation of triceps and shoulders in the 100, especially if you're not lifting your head, that can be a nice way to really get a lot out of this exercise without straining the neck. And go ahead and grab that piece of kit. We're gonna have standard bent knee position, no ball. Blanket under the head is fine. And again, flex band nearby if you're going to use that. Have a breath in and out and feel a settling of your weight towards your center, identifying your pelvis as that center point of the body. Inhale here, pull the breath all the way down. And then exhale and make your imprint. Feel that in your imprint, without bearing down into the mat with your back, you get an increased sense of groundedness under your center. And then with your feet on the ground, with this little space between them, go ahead and bring the inner edges of the knees together. We are still imprinted, by the way. Inner edges of the knees together, still imprinted. Exhale and squeeze a little bit more firmly through the inner thighs until you feel a feedback or a response in the lower abs. Do that 2 more times. Each exhale, adding a little bit more with the inner thighs until you feel it in the low belly, but not in the low back or not in the outer hips. When you've gotten that, then inhale, allow the knees to separate. Keep that deep connection into your center. Exhale and bring a leg or leg at a time into tabletop. You can use a second exhale for the second leg. And no surprises here, when the legs are up, I'd like you to re-squeeze inner thighs together. Yeah. All right, at this point, if you're going to use a flex band for the 100 for the arm work, go ahead and drape it over the shins just below the knees. Choke up pretty far on the flex band and hold firmly. Arrange the shoulders and the ribs, and then inhale, nod the chin downward, lightly engaging the muscles of your throat. Squeeze the inner thighs, feel it in the lower abs, and from that ignition point, exhale, bend forward, pulling the arms down by your sides if you're holding the band. Begin pulsing the arms 5 times as you inhale in 5 increments. Continue with the exhale, same style. The elbows and the wrists are stretched. That should cause a direct activation of the triceps. And from there, a pathway into the back of the shoulder. Continuity in the curve of your spine from the tip of your tail through the base of your skull. feel this most in the lower abs and bottom ribs. A little bit of light work through the throat, but none through the back of the neck. When you've done your 10th set of 10 breaths, inhale smoothly, pulling down on the band and feeling the chest open. Exhale smoothly as you lower to the floor. Put the band off to the side if you've been using it. And regardless of that, hug your knees in toward your chest. Rock a little left and right. You can make circles. Eventually, go ahead and take the opportunity to stretch a single leg away. So you'll hold one knee in and exhale, stretch the other leg long. Have a breath here and then switch. And do that a second time to each side. Now, when you've returned from that second single leg stretch, continue to hold the legs. I'm going to lie back here just in case it's mystifying what I'm doing here. We'll hold both legs and guide them into a tabletop position. Once the legs are in a tabletop, please continue to hold on to them with your hands. I'd like you to exhale here and allow the pelvis to gently roll into a neutral line. So the lumbar curve returns. We are still supporting the weight of the legs. Inhale. Now feel the transition from neutral into imprint as you exhale. Not pushing with your feet, obviously, not pulling with your legs, but pulling with your lower abs. The bottom of the ribs still in the plane of the lower belly. Inhale, hold imprint, and exhale, return through neutral, aware of this transition as well. We do that one more time. Inhale in your neutral posture, and then exhale, feel your lower abs, pulling the front of your pelvis back and in. Keep your imprint. And now exhale, guide one leg down to the mat and then the other. When the feet are down, inhale, release to neutral. Roll off to one side or the other and come up to sitting. And because I'm a lousy card player, you've probably guessed that we're going to do half roll back next and look at that transition into a lower back flexion. So sit on a pillow or a blanket if you like, a low stool, a chair even. All right. So in seated, with our knees bent, we're more or less recreating the posture we had on the floor where we were supporting our legs. And indeed, I'd like you to support your legs here a little bit or hold on to them. And we're going to transition into imprint and release, right, a couple of times using the abs, not the legs, not the neck. So starting in your upright position, of course, you can use a ball if you like. We'll exhale and use the lower abs to pull the front of the pelvis in and back. You'll feel a rolling on the sitting bones toward the glute muscles. You should also feel that the ribs adjust to remain in the plane of the belly. Inhale here, and then exhale, return. Allow the front of the pelvis to drop down, maintaining core, but allowing the lower ab contraction to lengthen as you come fully upright, fully neutral. Do that just one more time, please. Exhale, lower ab muscles pull the front of the pelvis in and back. No drama with the neck. Inhale. And then exhale, lower ab muscles lengthen. Core is maintained as you return to the top of your sitting bones. Okay. So we're going to let go of the legs and stretch the arms out in front and move into a deeper position. We'll roll back far enough that we've definitely got the upper body behind where the pelvis is. All right, starts right on top. We'll inhale here And with that same initiation from the lower abs, begin to pull the front of the pelvis in and back, allowing the rib cage and everything else to adapt or adjust with the movement. Go as far back as you can go, maintaining vertical through the crown of your head and top of your shoulders. Inhale, relax the legs. Exhale, begin to reach yourself forward. You'll feel the bottom of the ribs starting to move the upper body forward, adapting down through the line of the waist and finally lengthening downward through the front of the pelvis as you return to that beginning position. Do that 2 more times, please. Important to relax the legs. The more you can relax the legs, the more your abs will be required to guide this movement. Final time, using your core breath principles. When you've returned from the last time, lower your arms and shake them out. And now we work into complete spinal flexion by adding or evolving into neck pull front prep. All right. Return to the bend of the legs. And ideally, we're not accumulating a bunch of tension there, but just in case we are, know that we've got an extension coming. And bring your hands to your forehead or lightly behind the occipits here, behind the ears. So we begin the same way by exhaling and using the lower abs to start pulling the front of the pelvis back and in. As that happens, feel a melting, a softening of the spine behind you, and take it back to that deepest curve that you can achieve with the upper part of your shoulders and top of your head vertical. Now inhale here and nod the chin downward. Exhale, bend forward through the upper ribs. So don't strain your head forward. Bring and curve your chest forward towards your thighs. Forehead toward the knees, again, without straining the head. And then inhale all the way up. Front of the pelvis lengthens downward, top of the chest lengthens upward. 2 more times. Exhale, roll back. Just like we do in ab prep, we're still going to do that slight nod of the head. Feel the soft palate moving back and up. And then instead of bending more in the neck, bend in the upper ribs as you come forward. Beautiful, guys. On the next exhale, feel everything opening in the front of the body as you lengthen from bottom to top. And do 1 more repetition, please. Yeah. When you've completed the final one, return your arms down or let your shoulders relax, your arms relax. Good. So that should have felt like a way to open the bottom of the ribs beneath you, right? To open that middle section of the back that often gets a little tight. We're going to lie down onto our back. So you make any adjustments you need to make, maybe returning to the mat or coming off of your blanket. A minimal amount of head mat, if any, under the head. We're preparing for shoulder bridge. So extending through the front of the hips, putting a little bit of stretch there as a possible remedy for tightness that might have accumulated in those joints. You're going to have your feet firmly grounded and placed as they were for hip rolls. So you have the ability to press the floor down rather than away. Yeah, different. Okay. And we'll do a little bit of work with pulsing at the top and at the bottom, and we'll get there when we get there. You find the feet, take the gaze forward, centering the pupils in the eyes, and feeling the arms fall back. You know, of course, that as you lift the hips, the chest and the ribs will lift through the arms. So be prepared to allow a softening and a stretch there. You can have palms up if you like. Inhale in preparation. Begin to squeeze the ball and then start your exhale and start also to press directly down against the floor and lift the hips up. Be aware of the relationship of the ribs into the pelvis through the waist, maintaining a neutral posture. Come to that fully extended hip position, and you should feel a nice stretch for the top of the quads, the front of the pelvis area. Inhale, squeeze the ball, and lightly, as you exhale, lower the pelvis to the mat, stabilizing your posture, especially in that lower part of the spine, with ab tone and core connection rather than back tension. Exhale again and lift the hips again. At the top, a clean breath in as you open across the chest. And then as you exhale and lower down, avoid letting the shoulder blades press forward into the base of the neck. Keep opening and resting into ground. We will come to the top one more time. So if you're already there, either stay or know that you'll want to come up again. And at the top, we're going to reapply that inner thigh tone on each exhale 5 times. Squeezing the inner thighs and continuing into your breath out. Keeping your Kegel, inhale, softening inner thigh squeeze somewhat, and then repeating for a total of 5 repetitions. Be self-aware as you exhale, proprioceptively aware of how the body responds to that exhale breath. We do want to increase muscle tone, but in the core and in the legs, maybe in the back of the hips, certainly not in the neck. When you've done that last squeeze of the ball, have a breath in, and then exhale, lower until you're hovering just a couple of inches off the floor. Feel this hover, feel the posture of your spine, and on your inhale, let your hips lightly touch but not settle. On your exhale, you'll bring your hips up to that 1 or 2 inch hover. Inhale, keep your Kegel lower until you just graze the mat, and then exhale, lift an inch or 2. 3 more, please. Now, hopefully, as you lower and just touch the mat, you're able to feel the importance of the Kegel in terms of pelvic stability. Finally, lower and rest into the mat and stretch your legs out long. And again, any motion you want to do with the feet, you can point and flex, you can swish side to side. We'll roll over onto our front again. All right, whenever you're ready for that. Now, rather than spinal extension from prone, we're going to continue into another hip extension, this time from prone, with the legs long and gathered together. So you're going to set it up just as you do for the spinal extension, maybe resting the head on the hands. But this time the spine is going to stay in place, and we're going to be lifting the back of the thigh bones. So identify that connection, that intersection between the bottom of the glutes and the top of your thighs. We're going to be moving right through that area of the joint and activating that space. Stretch long behind the knees and point your toes. Gather your inner thighs and keep the bottom of the pubic bones on the mat. And then on your exhale, using the glutes, begin to lift the thigh bones up. Keep the thigh bones hovering and the legs stretching, and then exhale, lower them. We do 5 of these, guys. Exhaling, connecting, stretching through inner thighs into length of legs, and activating the glutes, the top of the hamstrings, opening the front of the hips. We inhale here before exhaling and lowering. Continue through your set of 5. Now you should feel a lot of inner thigh work here in addition to glute and hamstring work. Once you've lowered that last time, roll over onto your side, please. Bend your knees. And I'll show here too. Try to get my legs in the mat. Okay, and so bend your knees and support your head as necessary, maybe on your arm, maybe with additional blanket. Imagine you're standing up and put the posture in place that you would hope to carry around when you're standing. So you don't want to side bend or slouch, right? You want the tailbone under the notch at the base of your skull, both sides of the waist long. We're going to lift the top leg up, foot two, and without hunching the low back or the neck, inhale, pull the knee upward or inward, however you think of this, toward the chest. Now flex the foot and exhale, push through the length of your leg until you feel it in the back of your hip, stretching and opening the front. Inhale. Now you can choose to point here if you like as you bend the knee. Definitely, though, flex and push through the sole of your foot as you stretch the top leg, reaching in a single leg way into that extension of the hip. Do 3 more. And part of the goal of this is not just the hip and the leg, but a retention and support for neutral posture. Last 2. When you've extended the leg long that last time, keep it and resolve to keep your posture. And with flexed foot, inhale, kick the leg forward, maybe pulsing, stretching under the hamstrings. Point the toes here for sure. And exhale, reach back into that extension, opening the low abs, the front of the hips, retaining posture. 5 of these guys. Inhale and exhale. And so core, even more than abs, is about balance. And you're asking your spine to remain balanced and your balance to be steady as you go through these 5 sets. When you completed the last one, allow the leg to lower down. Good, you guys. And eventually roll over to your second side. Okay, when you're on your second side, you will have bent both legs and taken a moment to assess your posture, to really visualize and imagine yourself standing and how you want everything to hang in space. And then we lift the top leg off the bottom leg and inhale, pull the knee up or in without tucking the pelvis or the head. Now flex through the foot and exhale, reach into that long extension from the length of your waist down through the hip and the thigh. Push through the sole of the foot. Inhale, bend the knee, maybe pointing the foot. And exhale, flexing and stretching. 5 total. And if you're really bold, take that top hand off the mat and see if you're able to use your core and abs to hold your balance rather than your shoulder and your arm strength. We know where this is going. So when you've stretched the leg that final time, you stay there in the stretch and then inhale, swing the leg forward without bending the knee, maybe pulsing, point the foot and exhale, take the leg back, move into extension of the hip. We got it. Flexing and drawing forward and pointing and pulling back. Stability in a dynamic way. Your core adapting instantaneously to the shifting weight of your leg, to the movement of that lever. And when you've done the last one, top leg lowers, and you come onto hands and knees. In hands and knees, you can do that little orientation, shifting the weight forward and back. You can allow the ribs and spine to drop forward and then press back through the shoulder blades. We want to eventually bring both of those things into a very strong neutral position. And then we're going to start through the diagonals with the swimming stretch. So, breath in. On your breath out, one leg and the opposite arm begin to extend away from your center. Can you continue to maintain the posture that you hope to hold? Inhale, hand and knee return. Other diagonal, exhale, reaching from your center. Keep that primary line of your spine. Inhale, return. Continue across the diagonal. With each exhale, stretching. With each inhale, returning. Until we do a total of 4 times through each of those diagonals. Not allowing the body weight to shift forward and back, or the shoulders or hips to twist. Aware of our axis and the core support for it. Beautiful, guys. Probably one more across the sides. And when you've done your last one, sit back for a moment into shell. In shell, you can roll your wrists out a little bit, right? You can move around as necessary. We are going to end up with some push-ups. Don't run away yet. So push-ups, we're going to do the Pilates version where we do 3 inhales to bend the elbows and an exhale to push the arms long. You can do this from a plank on the floor, from a knee plank on the floor, from a wall, from a countertop. You can even do this from your back and tabletop, in which case, sort of quick and dirty, it would look like this. You can hold weights in your hands and inhale, inhale, inhale before exhaling and pushing away. And that's a really nice way to do it if you are struggling with your neck and your shoulders right now for any reason, or even your lower back. So pick the place where you want to work and come into that position, either imprinted in tabletop or perhaps a long plank line with your knees lifted. If you're lowering your knees, do keep the extension of the hips, right? And of course, if you're against a wall, you just transfer that to a standing diagonal position. Have an exhale here. And then on 3 inhales, bend your elbows a little more, a little more. You control how far you go. And exhale, push. Inhale, bend a little, opening the top of the shoulders, bend a little more, opening the chest, bend a little more, and then begin with your exhale, then push the arms. Let's go for 6, please. So 4 more. Connect your shoulders to your core. Remember, your head is attached to your spine. Keep clear in both of those areas and strong in your center. We got it. Almost there. And when you've done your last one, sit back into shell. Or alternatively, you can hug your knees to your chest if you like, if you're lying on your back. And just take some deep breaths in and out. So that was it. That was the medicine. That was the hardest part. Deep breath in 2 more times. Moving your head around, your shoulders around. 1 more breath cycle. And then inhale, eyes open. Exhale, roll your spine up or put your feet down. And relax, sigh. You guys, nice job today. That is our class for this Wednesday morning. I'm glad you dropped in, and I'll see you next time. I'll return the recording off. Have a great